By the Mariana Outdoorsman Association and by Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds. Now, the Great Outdoors with Jason White.
Hello, friends. I'm Jason White. Welcome to the Great Outdoors. Hope you're having a great week. We just got through a rather cold snap here in Pennsylvania. Excuse me. And now it seems that we're on a trajectory of warmer weather. So that's certainly a little bit of a blessing. But I must say, for the farmers out there, try to not be sloppy and in the mud. But sometimes the frozen ground actually is a benefit for the farmers in the wintertime. I can attest to that myself. But I want to give a special thanks to the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. If you'd like to join the Mariana Outdoorsman Association, it is marianaoutdoors.com. Again, marianaoutdoors.com. You can also stop at our office at 1997 Maury Road, Clarksville, Pennsylvania, 15322. Right now we have memberships open for the rest of 2024, and that includes fishing, hunting, and also gun ranges. So come check us out, marianaoutdoors.com. Also, special thanks to Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds. If you're looking to book an upland bird hunt, whether that's pheasant, quail, chucker, if you're interested in a wild white-tailed deer hunt or also a wild turkey hunt, please check us out, 10mileco.org, and 10mileco.org stands for 10 Mile Creek Outfitters. So 10mileco.org, it takes you to the website. Also, you can also always go to Facebook at Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds. Last but not least, special thanks to Washington County Travel and Tourism Agency. Again, Washington County Travel and Tourism Agency, special thanks to them. Please visit Washington County. But we're going to jump in right away to some events that are upcoming for the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. Friday, February 2nd, there's going to be a trout stalking. That is at 3 p.m. That'll be at 1997 Maury Road, Clarksville, Pennsylvania, 15322. That'll be at 3 p.m. So Friday, February 2nd at 3 p.m. Saturday, February 3rd at 10 a.m., there'll be an open house and a tour. So if anybody's interested in coming out and checking out any of the facilities, or if you want to see what we have to offer, please just let us know. But the door is open. It's free of charge. Saturday, February 3rd at 10 a.m. Friday, March 8th, it'll be the March trout stalking. That'll also be at 3 p.m. Same time, same location, 1997 Maury Road, Clarksville, PA, 15322. Saturday, March 9th, there will be a gun and cash bash. That'll be hosted at the Kochberg Volunteer Fire Company, and that is a collaboration between the Kochberg Volunteer Fire Company, the Ellsworth Volunteer Fire Company, and the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. So if you're a supporter of first responders and also conservation, this is a great event for you. It's a fantastic ticket. Really looking forward to it. Got some amazing prizes, and I think everybody's going to have a blast. Friday, April 5th, that is the April trout stalking. 3 p.m., same location. As always, the 1997 Maury Road, Clarksville, PA, 15322. Saturday, April 20th, and Saturday, April 21st, there's a long-range hunter class. So if you're somebody that potentially wants to shoot 300 yards or farther, and you have any ambitions of doing that here in Pennsylvania, or if you have ambitions of traveling out west, this is certainly the class for you. Details for this event are on the Mariana Outdoorsman Association Facebook page. There's actually an event listed. Again, that's Saturday, April 20th, and also Sunday, April 21st. Happy to have everybody. And then looking ahead into May, Friday, May 3rd through Saturday, May 4th is the Pennsylvania Trout Classic. People across Pennsylvania will descend upon the Mariana Outdoorsman Association and Wild Acres for a friendly trout competition. So very excited about all that. A lot of positive things happening, and as always, the door is open at the MOA. I'm going to jump into a little topic today on the red tag program. It's been a little bit of a discussion. Some reforms were needed through the Pennsylvania Game Commission regarding the red tag program. And for those that do not know, red tags are set up for, it's a program that's geared at farming farm properties, and basically a farmer is able and allowed to then harvest a deer in the summer. The problem is the concept of doing this to be allowed to protect your livelihood and your property from damages from wildlife is very important. But where I guess we'll call it the sticking point in a negative way is currently the Game Commission has to then come and remove the animal and take it to a butcher shop. Well, typically people are utilizing the red tag program in the middle of the summer when it's 80, 90 plus degrees, and to shoot an animal or harvest an animal and then properly gut an animal and then get it into a chilled cooler in a timely manner before it's basically spoiled is a very, very, very difficult proposition. And basically the red tag program doesn't allow the landowner any opportunity to harvest that animal and to keep the meat, or harvest the animal and utilize it as compost. For any farmers out there, including myself, during regular deer season, whenever I harvest a deer, butcher it ourselves, and then we'll go ahead and put it into our manure piles, breaking it down and turning it into nutrients to then go back onto the fields at a later time. It's a process that is common in many aspects of life, but it's a shortcoming of the red tag program. The red tag program doesn't allow the landowners the opportunity to, again, harvest the meat. It doesn't give the landowner the opportunity to dispose of the animal for manure purposes. Both of those would be fantastic methods and mechanisms, but currently you're not allowed. The Game Commission has to come, and it goes into a program where basically the deer would be processed and then taken to a local food bank. Totally support the idea of, folks donating meat and whatnot to food banks to help the needy. Personally think that's a great thing, but I think it's counterintuitive and counterproductive in some applications in regards to the red tag program. When you're looking at this from functionality and feasibility, there's a lot of times it's just not feasible. It's not possible to harvest a deer in an 85 degree weather and, again, got the animal, get it to a chilled cooler. Does anybody even have accessibility to a chilled cooler? Can the game warden get there in a timely manner? So, there's some chinks in the armor, and the reason that this is important is a lot of people then don't want to use that program. So when you're sitting here talking about crop damages, or if we're talking about just destruction of somebody's livelihood, the ability to use a program within its legal means is the problem. Can it even be achieved? Is it functional? Is it effective? That's really where the rubber meets the road. It's about looking at things right now. How can we make some tweaks and adjustments to make it better, to make it more efficient for the end user? So I know right now this is like a hot button that's being discussed at the state legislature in regards to this particular topic. Because, the fact of the matter is, if I go and buy a hunting license, or even if I get a DMAP, they call it DMAP, D-M-A-P. If I get a hunting license or a DMAP program tag, and I harvest a deer and I butcher it, I'm allowed to then dispose of that carcass in a manure pile. But during red tag, that same premise does not apply. So it's just something that needs to be looked at. We need to acknowledge where we have some shortcomings, and it's an easy fix, honestly. Allowing the landowner to either harvest the meat, or if they don't want to do that, if they just want to put it in a manure pile, those should be viable options. And obviously, donating it to people in need is a slam dunk too, but it's not always you can't give spoiled meat for people to consume. So, if it can't be timely and adequately done, we need to open up other doors. So that's what this whole conversation is about, is looking at it from an effective perspective. How can it be better? How can it better help landowners manage their property, protect their property? And it's something that is certainly viable. You start looking at how this got brought up recently. We had a meeting with the Farm Bureau, and we were talking to the Game Commission, and I asked the question, what is, why are we not allowing butcher shops and deer processing centers for reporting purposes? And the question was raised, and the Game Commission was like, well, that's a good idea. We already scan the tags. The tags all get scanned, but it doesn't constitute as reporting. And I was kind of flabbergasted because before this got brought up, there were concerns about the decline of processing facilities across the state. And I said, well, wait a minute. Well, what is a partnership? What is a collaboration today with these facilities? Well, these facilities are managed and overseen by Department of Agriculture, have no oversight by the Game Commission. But what the Game Commission's involvement is the processing facilities will then save deer heads for the Game Commission to then come and get the ages. So I asked the question, before we even got on the tags, I said, well, what are you giving these people? Like, are you compensating them for what they're doing, like using cooler space and taking the time out of their day to do this for you? And the answer that I got kind of shell-shocked me. It wasn't a financial game. Basically, the Game Commission gives these butchering processing facilities a hat and a calendar. That sounds kind of funny and comical, and it is. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how in the world? You don't even give them like $1 a head or $1 a buck? Like, like it just didn't make any sense to me at all. Like, businesses exist by being financially feasible and financially successful. I personally don't want a hat and a calendar as a mechanism of payment. And I can't imagine that very many other people in this state really would agree with that premise. So then, as we're talking about trying to like financially entice people, there's one opportunity where they're already doing a service for the Game Commission and they're getting a hat. Insane promise. Really kind of an insane premise. Are we going to barter like cookies or something next? Like it was like kind of like I couldn't believe it. So then I brought up the idea about these tags, and I said, well, okay, why can't when somebody brings their deer to a butcher processing facility, why can the butcher not scan the tag and they get compensated by the Game Commission for collecting that information? Not calling it a check station by any stretch of the imagination, but if that would constitute as somebody's reporting, why can't it constitute as somebody's reporting? And I asked that question. And I didn't get a straight answer. It was just, well, that's a good idea. Obviously a lot of people take their deer to the processing facilities, but as of today, it does not constitute as your reporting. So I said, well, why can't it? Well, we're going to have to get back to you. It's a great idea, but it could cause us other problems. So I was kind of floored and blown away by the whole conversation about it, because it was just like, this doesn't even make rationally any sense that we want to look at how do I want to describe this? Something could be so easy and make all of your lives a little simpler and give the Game Commission better data, and yet we don't want to do it. And I was just totally floored by it. But the reason we had the meeting was there's actually going to be some webinars that are going to be put together by the Pennsylvania Game Commission, and they're going to be targeted at different concepts and ideas. So one particular webinar is going to be geared at deer damages, red tag programs, DMAP programs, just to give everybody like a little bit better understanding, because I know it's certainly lacking right now as far as I would say education from the Game Commission out to the general public. Another thing is going to be about federal permits, and that'll be geared more at like your migratory birds, raptors, so hawks, blue heron, things in that kind of demographic. And then there's going to be another one that's going to be geared at small game. So people that are having property damages, etc., caused by small game. So we were trying to look for ways to like better educate the general public, better educate folks that are in Farm Bureau. Just trying to come up with these ideas of how can we take different topics and get the Game Commission to do some webinars so people could get a better understanding instead of there being, I hate to say it, but lots and lots of confusion. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll keep everybody posted, in future segments about when that's going to happen. And once I have those videos, I'll be happy to share them, via different social media. And please follow our YouTube, because we're going to have that up as well. Because I think it's important. I think it's important that if you're a farmer and you want to get red tags or DMAP tags, or say even you're having issues with bear or even other big game, it's important to know what are your rights, how do you go about the process of bobbing and weaving the bureaucracy to get what you need, and to then harvest or trap said animals, report as you need to. So it's just different little things, and we just felt that it was really important to try to do a better job of education, because if people are confused, I can tell you from experience, it's just a, I don't want to say this, it is a very, very difficult proposition to get people to utilize programs if they don't understand them. And that's the catch-22, is that, people are confused. People are just looking for a little bit better, a little more knowledge, a little more clarity. And that is exactly what we are trying our very, very best to do. And I'm excited because it's coming. It's coming. So I'll keep everybody posted on these webinars, because they're going to be a good source of information. I'm not saying they're going to be a slam dunk. I'm not saying that they're going to be like a one-stop shop to get all your answers, but at least it's a positive step in the right direction. I know on a previous show I had talked about Sunday hunting and some of the things that were being done legislatively in Harrisburg. One of them is about red tags. Another thing is it's being discussed about basically right now, like if you're a farmer and you want to allow people on your property, you basically have to open up the floodgates. And the problem with that is that obviously you're opening up the floodgates to everybody. And, not to demean anybody, but that's not really a vetting process. You're basically allowing somebody could have a bad history or a bad, background, and you don't want them on your property. Well, you can't stop them as of right now. So basically, they're looking at establishing something where farmers could vet people. Like there'd be like a list of people that could be solicited to, like, hey, if you'd like to hunt here, if you only want to allow a handful of people on your property or certain times, that's kind of the concept. Instead of it just being wide open, that's the goal. So we'll see. I think it has good merits. I think vetting people and not just allowing people to come and go. I think there needs to be a good line drawn on that. But that piggybacks over to trespass. For those that know, trespass laws are lackluster in Pennsylvania. This has been something I can't even tell you how many people have complained, discussed, brought this up over the years, and it's finally happening. I haven't reviewed the legislation out of the Game and Fisheries Committee for the Senate of Pennsylvania, but I do know there was a memo drafted. Trespass is coming. To my understanding, it's supposed to be strengthened, in essence, to give private property owners better rights as landowners, increase in penalties for those that commit criminal trespass, and obviously give enforcement more justification to do anything. I mean, currently right now, if somebody's trespassing on your property, the first offense is not even a misdemeanor. So your rights as a landowner are very skewed to be able to protect your property. Basically, the first time, you almost have two choices. It's either the police come and give a verbal warning, or they file a penalty with the magistrate, and I think it's literally like a $25 fine or something. It's very small, which the judge typically will throw out. It's not until the second offense. So if you are somebody as of today, in my recommendations, you're more likely, unless it's clearly a severe case, you're more likely to just get the police to give a verbal warning to make it a matter of record. And then if it happens again at that juncture, it then can crank up to a misdemeanor. But the whole concept of this is to get rid of that first step, to go directly to a misdemeanor, to deter people from criminal trespass, because it is something that happens in Pennsylvania. Not just to farms, not just to during hunting seasons. Let's not be kidding ourselves in the capacity of trespass. There's people that trespass in many capacities, and we need to do a better job as a state to protect private property owners' rights. And that's exactly what the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau is doing, advocating for this change. And it's something that I'm really proud of. I'm really happy to see that it's happening. And I think it's a very critical time that that we show that we're committed to seeing the interests of not only Pennsylvania Farm Bureau members, but also to see the collective interests of all of our landowners in the entire state and the Commonwealth. So, I'll keep everybody posted about that. So there's four things that are kind of attached right now to the Sunday hunting proposition, and that is, again, the red tag adjustments and changes, the trespass reform, the list, as we'll call it, the vetting list, and then obviously you have your red tag proposals, changes, trespass, the vetting list, and the Sunday hunting itself, which is how do I want to describe it? It's going to be allow the Game Commission to regulate accordingly. And, I'm sorry, the last thing I forgot, there was a fourth thing, was establishing a commissioner for the Fish Commission and Game Commission that would have an agricultural background. So basically it would be an at-large position. And the reason that's really important is, obviously, whether it's, let's just use the Fish Commission example. How many tens of thousands or how many thousands of miles in Pennsylvania run through private property / farmers' fields? How many businesses raise fish? How many businesses stock fish? How many businesses purchase fish? This is all aquaculture. This is all farm-raised fish. Same premise goes with the Game Commission. Think about all the wild animals that impact your farm, private property. From crop damages to just simple management of big game, small game, etc. Things that are raised on farms that then go back into whether that's food, whether that's different facets of the economy. You have to look at all of this. So having somebody with an agricultural understanding on both of these boards is a very important piece of knowledge to bring to a conversation. certainly you would not want somebody, for example, of a car company. Do you want a whole board of people on a car company that don't know really anything about, let's say, cars? That might be a little bit of an extreme example, but you get what I'm saying here. Agriculture as a whole has a tremendous direct and indirect impacts when it comes to how the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission and also how the Pennsylvania Game Commission are managed. And if you don't have adequate knowledge on those boards, at least somebody to bring a conversation to the forefront or to have those types of engagements, it's just a critical thing. So there's these four things: red tag, trespass, the vetting list, agricultural representation. And when I say agricultural representation, I also want to put an asterisk next to that. That does not mean that person has to be a Pennsylvania Farm Bureau member. It just simply means that somebody has to have some form of an agricultural background, agricultural experience. And that same premise applies even today. The Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission actually has an at-large position for boating. So that person has to have a boating license. That person has to have experience and knowledge with boats. It's just, how do I want to say this? There's a lot of opportunities here, these four premises, and then add on top of that the Sunday hunting. It's amazing to see this amount of positivity, this amount of positive action all kind of coming together. I am super excited. Now, these things are huge. They're going to be game changers for the Game Commission, the Fish Commission, the agricultural community, the sporting community. And we're really trying to bridge gaps bridges that at one time were burned or even didn't exist with the sporting community, because it's critical that we do that. We impact each other. I can't tell you on how many shows I've advocated for the fact of how sportsmen and the agricultural community are just so important to one another, and we have to treat each other as such. And I feel that these things here that I've talked about today are doing that. Sunday hunting's coming. God willing, it's coming, along with these other things. Looking ahead, hey, the Farm Bureau is going to be at the Great American Outdoor Show out in Harrisburg coming up here in February, the week of February 9th. I'm really excited about that. We're going to have a booth set up. I'll be out there at least one day. So whenever I'm there, I hope I get to see you there. Tentatively, I think I'm actually going on the 9th. But, I look forward to that experience. I look forward to getting the Farm Bureau more engaged with sportsmen. That is so important. And I'm so proud of the Farm Bureau for doing that. I'm so proud of leadership for doing that. I'm so proud of everybody seeing the opportunities that exist of how we can grow the organization to be better advocates for everybody. Because no matter how you shake a stick at it, all of us at some form or fashion consume agricultural products in all aspects of our lives. And that's just something we all need to accept. And it's important that we all are on the same page, advocating for basically what impacts your table, what impacts your bank account, things that impact what you do to have fun with your family and friends. These things are all part of this conversation. Now, looking ahead, I know we're going to be at the Great American Outdoor Show, but there are some things. I know I talk a lot about permitting because it's quite the cluster in Pennsylvania. But I know this is going to be something that we're going to really be diving into here in the near future, because general permits in Pennsylvania are just out of control from the application times to the lack of oversight when it comes to engagement right out of the gate. Who are you supposed to be dealing with? How is it, how is the accountability on the back end? And then the next thing you know, 15 different bureaucrats show up at your property. I can say this from experience. And you have to look at this of what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to advocate to make everybody's lives easier, cut the red tape, as they call it. When I say red tape, I've seen red tape, but this is like boxes and boxes of red tape that I've experienced and seen, and people are just basically justifying their jobs with these permits and justifying that, oh, they got to come out and do all these extra inspections. It's crazy, folks. It's crazy. And I know the governor has really cut back on the timeliness of approved permits. Basically, you get your money back if they're not finished in a set time, but we have to up the ante. These permits, anybody that's doing general permits, I don't care if you're a farmer, I don't care if you're a private property owner and you have a small chunk of land, it doesn't really matter. I don't care if you're a hunting and fishing club and you're just wanting to do like a habitat improvement project. These are basic ideas and concepts that are being destroyed by the Department of Environmental Protection in Pennsylvania and anybody affiliated with them. And I sincerely mean this. And when I say they're destroying it, they're destroying progress. We're destroying any creative minds, because when you hear about the nightmare stories of the permitting debacles in Pennsylvania, it's like, why in the heck would I ever want to get anywhere near that? And I can attest from experience. It's a nightmare. It's terrible. Things need to change. And the only way it's going to happen is by people advocating for change. And that's what we're doing, because that's the right thing to do. And I'm really excited about that, because I see positive movement. I'm seeing a lot of people are like finally coming to the table and saying, yes, this needs to change and we need to change it now. The fire's hot. The old iron's hot. So I'm going to keep everybody posted, but I can tell you, especially the general permits, specifically general permits, I want to say there's around 15 as of right now. Those permits are what are critical right now, because that is the foundation of permitting in this state. And if we can't even manage that, we're in a world of hurt. So just everybody keep your head on a swivel. We'll be talking about that more and more. Another thing I want to talk about is this Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission notice of stalking. This is something that actually the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau is against. It's in our policy that we stand against this premise. But what's really critical is the premise of why they're doing it. This became a topic last year, and there were some private business owners that kind of rallied together, revolted, and made it certainly a hot issue for everybody to know and understand why this was a bad idea. I got some calls recently from some different fishing clubs across the Commonwealth. I've made a lot of connections and friends over the years from the Marion Outdoorsman Association, and some folks reached out to me saying that basically they were being threatened by the fish wardens or waterways conservation officers, whatever they go by, that basically if they didn't apply for this notice of stalking, that they'd be cited and fined. This is terrible. It's terrible because indirectly or directly, however you want to look at this, they get that threat given to them or presented to them. They then call me and say, well, we're just thinking about not stocking fish. Well, then guess what happens? Next thing you know, the fish hatcheries are losing fish sales. Potentially the fish hatcheries are then going to buy less fish food, which is then going to hurt another farmer. Less fishermen means less people going to the stores to get bait and tackle, less clothing sales, less stops at a gas station or a restaurant. You get where I'm getting with this? A decision by the Fish Commission can have a ripple effect, a domino effect in such a negative way. And this is a big concern for me personally, professionally, Farm Bureau. We're headed down a treacherous path because the question in turn lies is, well, why is a business that's regulated by the Department of Agriculture, being aquaculture farms, what are we doing, or what created this problem? Why do fishing clubs and organizations now that go to stock need this notification or permit through the Fish Commission? What caused this? And I've raised that question, and I'm not getting a straight answer. The answer I keep getting is well, we're trying to prevent disease from going into the waterways of Pennsylvania. That's an awesome and a tremendous sales pitch for anybody that really doesn't know the realities of how these businesses operate. They are already regulated. And the best example I can give anybody is basically like when you go buy a gallon of milk, there's already certifications on it from USDA that it's safe and been inspected, the facility's been inspected, etc. Fish hatcheries are the same way. They're inspected by the Department of Agriculture in Pennsylvania. They're inspected. They're not allowed to sell diseased fish. They're not allowed, and that's whether that's for personal consumption or to go into any waterway. They're not allowed to sell anything diseased. They're not allowed to sell anything that's unhealthy. It has to meet health and safety requirements. No different than a gallon of milk. But do you, as a consumer, do you want to go to the grocery store and have to notify the government that you're going to go buy a gallon of milk or you're going to go buy a steak that's wrapped with a USDA label on it? The answer is simply no. What's the unnecessary layer of permitting here that we're adding to this to deter business? I still haven't gotten justified reasons. I keep being told it's to help prevent disease. Well, again, you're already not allowed to sell, nor buy, nor stock illegal fish. I'm not allowed to go buy a shark and dump it into Mon River. Can't do it. Can't go buy a pack of piranhas and dump them into, our local stream. That's illegal. So why we're going to go and create additional permits, regulations, etc. for things that are already illegal in this state just to make people's lives harder and more difficult, I don't understand. And then I asked the premise, I was like, well, okay, if this is becoming a hot button, are you going to acknowledge, as the Pennsylvania Fish Commission, are you going to acknowledge the efforts of those that are stocking? And I was told, well, no, that is proprietary information. Well, why is that? And I asked the question, well, okay, we go and stock fish in a stream. It's stocked by whoever. Let's say I know that West Newton Sportsman's Club stocks the Yawk. You think that they don't deserve, as an organization, to be put on a map and get a little bit of credit or acknowledgement by the Pennsylvania Fish Commission? Because at the end of the day, not everybody that goes on a Yawk has to have a West Newton membership. But guess what? They got to have a Pennsylvania fishing license. You think the Fish Commission is going to let you fish in this state on a waterway and not have a fishing license? Heck no, they're going to get every penny out of you that you can. So I don't see any reason, out of being a good neighbor, a good steward, supporting those that are supporting the Fish Commission, why can't you put them on a map? They deserve it. They deserve it just like there's only one organization, and you can be my guest to go figure this out. There's only one organization that the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission acknowledges on their website. Go look that up. Go look it up and you'll be enlightened. There's only one organization. Any other fishing club, etc., across this great state is ignored. And that's where the rubber really meets the road in this whole proposition, is if you want to get people's information and you want to give due acknowledgement in any capacity, beyond the unnecessary need of the permit, like take away the whole idea of a permit, we should be actively working with all fishing clubs via the Pennsylvania Fish Commission to ascertain information so we could better promote the Commonwealth as a whole. To get more people coming here and realizing that just because you pull up a map of today on the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, they show you where they stock. They don't show you where everybody else stocks. And yes, there are places that are private. There are places that are private/public. There's places that are totally public. But who cares? It's about acknowledging what opportunities exist. Somebody might want to buy a membership to a club. Somebody might be willing to pay a day pass. Somebody might be on hard times and not able to afford either. And that's okay. Because guess what? All those opportunities are there. It's about an open and free market. That's like literally capitalism to a T. But if we don't acknowledge what's all out there and present the opportunities of what's all out there, people don't know. So take away the permit. I think the permit needs flushed down the commode because I think the whole premise of it is not true. Nobody is legally stocking unhealthy fish in Pennsylvania. These fish are certified. These fish hatcheries do a fantastic job. They're already inspected and meet health and safety requirements. To add a layer onto fishing clubs is crazy, and it needs to be stopped by the legislature, by the governor, and by anybody else that cares about agriculture, our communities, and just the general well-being of our communities. I'm going to wrap it up today. Special thanks again to the Marianna Outdoorsman Association. You can join the Marianna Outdoorsman Association at mariannaoutdoors.com. Again, mariannaoutdoors.com. And we are located at 1997 Morey Road, Clarksville, Pennsylvania, 15322. Special thanks to Wild Acres Farm Fishery and Regulated Hunting Grounds. If you're looking to book an upland bird hunt, if you're looking to a free-ranging whitetail hunt and also free-ranging wild turkey, 724-579-0924. Give us a call, 724-579-0924. And you can also go to 10mileco.org. Again, the website is 10mileco.org. And I want to end on special thanks to Washington County. They've been a great partner, great supporter of the outdoors. Washington County Chamber and Tourism Agency. Please visit Washington County. But next week, I'm going to be following up on all these different topics I talked about today. We're going to be kind of doing it in segments because there's a lot of legislation that's coming. There's a lot of positive things that are happening. And there's a lot of important issues, I think, that are being addressed, whether that's crop damages, deer depredations, permitting, knowledgeable people on these boards. But just stay tuned, folks, because we've got a lot of awesome things happening, and special thanks to the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau for bringing change that we all deserve. So see you next week. This has been the Great Outdoors. Thank you.